every venue you do is slightly different, be it rate, be it all sorts of different like factors that go into it. That's the difference between like you, for example, being here at the Dominion. You know every night exactly where everything is, and that's kind of great in a way. But there's some kind of weird spontaneity to touring when you kind of step out on that stage for the first time, or even like a couple of nights later, and you go, oh, and it's a different audience, and each as you know, each city's different. So when you were on a UK tour, I mean. You said obviously your favourite time being in the West End, but can you remember?
Yeah, the UK tour was amazing because that was the first time I'd taken over as the number one. So I joined the show in 1992 in Blackpool, and the company, it was a long season they did in Blackpool. They did 17 weeks at the Winter Gardens, like the massive 3,000 seater, and it was all getting to be like October now, and the lights were going on, and it was getting a bit wet and miserable, and they'd been there 9 weeks, and it was kind of a good time to go in because they needed a bit of a lift, and I was quite keen as mustard. You know, I just got back from America and I was playing the lead for the first time, and so I was able to sort of go on that tour there and try and get them all going, which we did, and that was just brilliant to play that venue because it's so massive, it's huge.
Yeah, talking about we spoke about a year ago when I ended up at some digs and saw a picture of you. I think it was you and Adrian, that little one down
Marlene Mountain.
Marlene's theatrical digs in Birmingham.
Brilliant.
Now, this is things that obviously not that we're exposing the business here, but I do quite often, as I'm sure you do, people think, you know, oh, it's all 5-star hotels and it's this and that and the other. But there are certain times, particularly when you're on tour, that
never 5-star.
that you can end up in some kind of crazy places.
Yeah.
So Marlene's may actually be Marlene's theatrical digs, but can you remember crazy digs?
Yeah, and the great thing about touring is when you get to know people and then you can start organising digs together. Because like when I first went to Blackpool, they just put me in a hotel. I was on my own, and then you kind of get to know people. And the next venue you're in, you know, you make your friends then, and it's fun. I like touring. I mean, it wouldn't suit me now. I wouldn't fancy going on tour because I've got a family and everything, a little girl. But then touring, it's great, and you get to see the whole country.
Well, we spoke recently about Chips last night.
Yeah.
And you weren't playing Buddy then.
No.
I mean, you were just kind of jamming in the background as Tommy, and it was Billy Geraghty,
Paul Hipp.
And Paul Hipp. Was Paul Hipp taking over?
No,
from
I
Chip?
just got Paul Hipp back to do a bit of a couple of songs, and that was amazing. I was in awe.
So that was. That was like what was it, the first anniversary? No, the
thousandth performance. Yeah, and the third birthday.
Oh, at the same time.
I think they kind of wangled it a little bit.
Right.
It
Okay.
wasn't properly, and it was Chip was leaving, 1000th show, third birthday. Is that about right? Yeah.
I'm kind of speechless. I want to say that this is a huge night. This is my last night. This is the 1000th night. This is the day of music night. We thank you for being here.
So we got Paul over, and I've learnt the show from Paul. There's now some brilliant video of you on YouTube of Paul when he did Broadway, because I did the US tour with Bobby Prohaska, who was Joe B, and a few other people that had done Broadway, and of course when I was learning the show, and back in those days, no one had access to any of that stuff. But I found some stuff accidentally just flicking through of Paul and Bobby and all the guys doing stuff on loads of big TV shows back in the day, and he looked great, Paul.
1, 2, 3, 4. How am I gonna tell you how it's gonna be? Well, you're gonna give me love to me. Love lasts you night and day. Well, love it's a love and never fade away. Well, love it's a love and never fade away.
Yeah, but I was in awe of all these people. And so suddenly to be on stage, playing my little guitar, just going, wow, there's Billy and Chip and Paul.
We couldn't do this show without the man that started all the first Buddy Holly that played here in the Victoria Palace. He started off, he took it here, he took it to Broadway. He's in America now, and he's come on back. He's back, and he's in shape, and his name is Paul Hipp. Let's have it! Go for everybody, Paul! Thank you very much, everybody. How about Chip and his cast?
I want to say it was back in 1959 we started the show. 89, and it just keeps getting better.
That for you, I mean, like, I saw the UK tour when you did it, because I remember this is, you know, we're going back a little bit now.
Yeah.
But I saw it in Newcastle at
did it in
the
Newcastle.
Theatre
Royal.
Royal.
Yeah.
And I was
3.
a babe.
Yeah.
And I remember that affecting me and affecting my choice in career path. So it's weird now, I suppose, you know, like we're doing this kind of buddy meets buddy thing, but the prestige that I saw you performing as
That
that,
was a good cast. That
yeah,
was
yeah,
great.
always incredible.
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, for want of a better term, kind of changed my life, certainly professionally.
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, not professionally, personally. I mean, you do a job like this, you throw yourself into something like this, it affects everything about
Yeah.
you. I mean, you give up so much to do something that is so important to you.
Yeah.
You know, like I said the other day, I'd love to be, you know, having a little house and a little dog and all the rest of it. You know, admittedly, a certain year's your junior, so you know, I aspire
Many
to,
years my junior.
I aspire to kind of be in the position you are now, age 33.
Yeah.
In Newcastle, and obviously it changed what I wanted to do, because I then started thinking about guitars and music and what have you. So that kind of had a massive influence on me. So actually taking over as the part was incredibly, you know, my dad, obviously a big Buddy fan, was
Yeah.
incredibly emotional and really quite incredible. And you mentioned before that you obviously had some history with Buddy as well.
Yeah.
Do you, in terms of prestige, do you think it still kind of holds true that this man was such an icon that it's almost like an honour to be one of the 23 people who've played the part?
Oh yeah, it's a huge honour. You know, it really is. And all the great things that came with it, like playing the White House and all the anniversary shows that you do, and you do different extra songs, and all the people I've met doing it.
Yeah.
I did a show once at the VP wearing one of Buddy Holly's shirts. And
Really?
there's a guy, I can't think of his name now, but he wrote a letter, or I met him in Norwich or something. He was a collector, and he had like a museum, and he wrote a book, Alan Mann, The A to Z of Buddy Holly,
Oh, right.
and he gave me a copy of it, and I'm sure it's him, and he had like a museum with all loads of stuff, and he had a white shirt, and it was like, it fitted me, and I had like hairs in the pocket, well, it had a comb in the pocket, and he said, do you want to wear it for the show? And I said, all right. And I've got a picture of me in it somewhere, and I wore it, and completely soaked it in sweat and covered it in makeup, so you had to wash it,
Wow.
but that was kind of cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I told you earlier on when we were in Leicester, I met some people who saw the show, so who saw Buddy
him there. Wow.
in De Montfort in March in 1958, and that was kind of just crazy enough to think that, you know, they were watching me on a Tuesday night, kind of going, yeah, it kind of looks like him.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like him. And you're like, please don't judge me.
Well, when I was doing the American tour, the Crickets were in town doing a gig in Boston. I think it was Boston. Yeah, they were doing a gig, so they came to the matinee, and I was on for the matinee because I did the matinees, you know, as the alternate. And I just couldn't believe my luck, you know. And I was doing it, and Joe and Jerry were in the audience, and we didn't used to do encores on the matinee because we didn't have time. But I just did one anyway, and I don't care, you know. I was fired up, and they were in, and then they came on stage, and we met them, and then we got invited to go and join them on stage in their gig that evening, and that was just great, you know. And he said some lovely things.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds a bit big-headed, but he said you really look like him, and you really sound like him, and he said, yeah, I should know, and I was like, that'll do.
Just you know why
why you and I will by and by